Kia ora, good evening. Environmental campaigner Gareth Morgan has released plans to make Stewart Island the world's first substantially inhabited pest-free island. But the contentious issue of domestic cats on the island continues. The $40 to $50 million plan focuses on eradicating rats, possums and feral cats from Stewart Island using a combination of predator-proof fencing and baiting. Morgan previously met opposition around his proposal to eradicate all cats from the island. His plan now suggests domestic cats would be at risk unless confined or shipped off the island for the duration of the eradication, but it's unclear how long the process would take. The Department of Conservation is working with him to set up a governance group before consultation can begin. Kung Fu and Chinese folk music helped celebrate stronger ties between China and Southland at a special ceremony in the city last night. Sarah Bedford explains.
Ties between China and the Deep South were strengthened last night, with an agreement being signed between the Southern Institute of Technology and Canterbury University's Confucius Institute to set up a resource centre in Invercargill. Following the signing, performances of Shaolin Kung Fu and folk music for an audience of around 200. Consulate General for China, Deputy Consul General Dr. Xu Yan Li says the agreement will help strengthen the relationship between China and Southland.
We are increasingly interdependent country. And also we are very close trade partners. So culture and language learning are very important for also Chinese and also local people, especially Invercargill, SIT, and also local communities.
The Confucius Institute is a global education network with the main goal of promoting Chinese language and culture. Canterbury University Confucius Institute Director Adam Lamb says the Institute's role is an important one.
I think in this particular centre, on the one hand, we can help people to learn the language with more accessible resources. On the other hand, to have more knowledge about China. Only by knowing more about China, we can be more successful in our export.
Southern Institute of Technology Chief Executive Penny Simmons says the centre will benefit both Chinese students and the community.
It's resources for language and for culture. It's to ensure that we've got the means by which we can allow people to understand about the culture, to learn the language, and for the students to be able to go in and gain resources in their own language as well.
She says SIT would like to see stronger links with China in the future.
Certainly part of today's discussions have been about more partner institutions in China. We already have a number, and so we're looking to expand the number of partner institutions we have.
The Confucius Centre at the Southern Institute of Technology's Invercargill campus will likely open in September for students, with plans on how to make it available to the public also under investigation. Sarah Bedford, South Today News.
The fluoridation of Invercargill's water supply is set to be debated by city councillors later this month. Council received 335 submissions on fluoridation in response to its draft annual plan, with the majority opposed to the continuation of adding fluoride to the city's water supply. Submitting on behalf of the Southern District Health Board, Public Health South said it wanted fluoridation to continue, as there's no evidence of serious health outcomes relating to fluoridation when it meets recommended standards. Council will discuss the issue on May 28th, where it will be decided to continue, cease or undertake further public consultation. It's a program that could cost up to $20 million a year to deliver, and almost 3/4 of Southland and Otago primary schools are lining up to be a part of it. Fonterra's Milk in Schools program kicked off at a dairy farm this morning, followed by a Fonterra convoy through the streets of Invercargill. More than 135 schools across Southland and Otago are set to be the first in the country to receive a daily drink of milk courtesy of Fonterra's Milk in Schools program. The launch commenced with primary school students visiting a dairy farm in the south this morning to learn about milk production.
Really, it's about what can we do to play our part, and sharing milk and great nutrition for our kids' future and our community's future is really the core idea about Milk for Schools.
Each registered school receives a fridge and recycling bins, so the used daily Tetra Paks can be recycled.
The little 180ml packs, the kid drinks them, and then we've got training procedures to help them fold them up, and we come and pick them up again, recycle them, and yeah, they get made into paper and into roof tiles, of all things, in Thailand, yeah.
Ms Robinson says Fonterra is recreating and improving on the Milk in Schools program from the 1970s.
New Zealand had a school milk program many years ago, which there's lots of people remember that fondly, and we wanted to recreate that and improve on that program.
Learning and sharing information about milk production was behind the dairy farm visit this morning.
We want kids to know where their milk comes from. We want them to understand, an industry that's really amazing for New Zealand and sort of the backbone of New Zealand's economy, and also learn a bit about the farm and the cows. Take it back to school.
And it appears the message was getting through.
On the dairy farm truck, there's a pipe that goes into a big tank, and that comes from the cows.
On the farm, children were interested in how many cows, their breed and how much milk is produced from the farm on a daily basis. Dairy farmer Alan Black says it's good to give students a worldwide perspective about the industry.
When you tell the kids that in the peak season, Fonterra is actually closing a shipping container every 3 minutes of the day, of the week, of the month, and exporting out to over 100 countries worldwide.
He says visits from international students creates a real connection between the farm and Fonterra products they consume in their home countries. Fonterra are expecting more schools will come on board as the campaign moves north up the country. Margot Sutherland, South Today News. After the break, funding cuts are causing concern at Southland's Rape and Abuse Support Centre. Welcome back. A lack of funding has meant the Rape and Abuse Support Centre Southland has had to cut its education facilitator position. Centre manager Susanna Lepoama says it's disappointing and there are concerns about the potential impacts.
Well, we've noticed that when we educate professionals, like we had a sexual violence and justice workshop last year, that professionals that are working with children and families are able to be better equipped to educate parents or to educate others that are working like teachers and whatnot, and talk about signs and symptoms and how to best respond if they're concerned about a child's safety or wellbeing. And we notice an influx in referrals after community education like that. We also notice that young people, when Natalie delivers the Breaking the Silence program in the high schools, they'll start to question their behaviour and their safety, and start to kind of look at their relationships and say, that's not as healthy as I think it should be, or is what Natalie's talking about, healthy relationships, good boundaries, keeping yourself safe and things like that. And so we probably notice that as young people get educated, we have a spike in referrals from young people after she's been in high school. So from our point of view, and also actually Natalie helped run the radio show at Southland Access Radio, and we notice a spike in referrals after that as well. So the more education that you get out there around what is sexual safety versus healthy relationships and what's harmful behaviour, the more we notice that people actually start to question what's going on for them, and then start to make inquiries and will ring in or get some support. And so we're concerned because it's not a topic that's talked about openly in the community. It's such a taboo topic that if you don't educate the community and raise awareness, that it maintains its silence, and that's probably the biggest block to people getting help.
Now, do you hope to get this rolled back, and how do you plan to do that?
Yes, we do. We really do. I mean, I see that prevention being 50% of what we do, actually. I guess at a local level, it's just, we're pretty constrained at the moment with the rest of the staffing. So my focus is actually maintaining what we've got at the moment for intervention. But on a national level, I know that organisations like Toa Nest, we had Green MP, Jan Loki, down here, who launched the Everyone Deserves the Right Help campaign. So there's lobbying going on at government level to actually secure a funding, even a department that would, or some kind of ministerial collaboration that will actually agree to fund specialist service for sexual violence in prevention and intervention.
Less than 1% of submissions on the Ministry for Primary Industries proposal to increase the commercial power fishing area in the south are in favour of the idea. Recreational power fishers campaigned against the proposal to add a further 25 kilometres of southern coastline to the commercial power fishing area, saying changes would affect stocks and future power supplies. According to MPI, 2,718 submissions were wanting no change, while 22 submitters were in favour of extending the commercial fishing zone. The Ministry for Primary Industries will announce its submission review report at the end of May. A new health shuttle is to be introduced for patients travelling from Southland to Dunedin to attend health-related appointments. The St John Health Shuttle service will be based in Invercargill and will travel Monday to Friday. The service came about following discussion and consultation between St John, the Southern District Health Board, primary health organisations and local community agencies, which identified a need for a transport option for people to get between the cities. The service is free and is being sponsored by Foursquare, with volunteers to drive the shuttle. New Zealand has one of the highest asthma prevalence rates among developed countries, and around 130 New Zealanders die each year because of asthma attacks. 1 in 6 New Zealand adults and 1 in 4 children experience asthma symptoms, and hospital admission rates for asthma have more than doubled in the past 30 years. Canterbury University is looking at some of the problems associated with asthma. Health Sciences Associate Professor Kathleen Liberty says possible factors include diet, climate, immunisation rates and economic conditions. Research is also looking at how it affects children, with a project finding children with asthma were more likely to have difficulty learning to read. And that's all from the news desk this Tuesday. Coming up in sport, Southern Steel coach Janine Southby. That's after the weather next. Good night.